So I decided, in addition to the stone tutorial that I made, to provide a little bit more insight on commonly used techniques by Dave Matthews. So, for example, one of them is the muting with the right hand. So you have to find, this is going to take a while to get comfortable with, but you have to find a position where you play a chord. And a lot of times we do find our position, right? We find where our right hand is comfortable, where it goes to, just gravitates to this area on the guitar. So you have to get a little bit closer to palm mute, right? So if we're anchored right here, that's fine. We want to just move it up a little bit. And we can get this very dynamic strumming technique, which Dave Matthews uses all the time. So we look at two-step, for example. And he gets those really deep kind of strums, right? And he does it. So you have all those really like intricacies with what he's doing with his right hand. And we can get really cool with it, but you have so much control when you're muting. So you're going to want to practice that. If you're looking to learn a Dave Matthews song, you're definitely going to want to start with your right hand, no matter what chord you're playing. So you can start with a G. You can do it with any chord. But you want to get your right hand comfortable with that. The second muting technique, or the other muting technique that Dave Matthews uses all the time, is a single note, and you're muting everything else, which is very strange because you'd think you want to play as many notes as possible, or you'd want to play a full chord. But Dave Matthews stays away from first position chords. He very rarely plays them. You might see him play a D, maybe a few other chords. He uses them. For the most part, he's playing these single note riffs, something that usually you might play on electric guitar, but it's incorporated into the rhythm part or part of the chord progression, if it makes any chords at all. So a good example of this would be recently. So we have, he's essentially it's F, C, a D note, and then a G, right? But what he actually does, it's really weird. He's really just G, F, and C. There's a D, open D in there, right? But so you could play that just. Really boring, right? But what he does, he takes that very simple progression and he plays a single note. So he's playing these single notes, he's letting them ring out. So coupled with the palm muting, so if we take that away and put that on the back burner and we just play the string out and we mute everything else, it sounds like this. So he's playing. So he's playing these single notes instead of going, which is I think that's what the keys might be doing on some recordings of that song. But as an example, if you add that palm mute on the right hand, and we bring that back into the picture, we get something like. He's accenting that note back to a hard palm mute, and then sometimes he accents the note before he comes back to it. So we get something like that. funky, kind of a meaty sounding progression. So those are just a couple of things that you'd want to focus on if you're interested in learning Dave Matthews songs. You want to focus on palm muting, getting your right hand just to go to a position where you're able to go from to and accenting different beats, right? Which makes for very interesting rhythm guitar playing, and it's very complementary to anything that you're doing, regardless of what chords you're playing. So that's something good with the right hand. And the left hand, you're going to want to try and play single notes. You're going to want to try and practice something like which means you have to find a way to place your fingers that aren't playing the note, just resting them on the neck, like so. So I'll come in a little closer. So we have, if I'm playing just this, you can see it's very subtle. I know just where, my hand just knows just where to go to kill the string just enough. So that's what you're gonna wanna focus on. Like, you need to know where to put your fingers. So if I'm using my pinky, then that's easy, right? Because the rest of my fingers are gonna rest behind it. So, and you can see my thumb will creep over to mute the low E. So you're gonna have to look into muting techniques or figure out what works best for you. But if you can get those two muting techniques down, it's really gonna help with a lot of these songs. And it also helps with just your overall dynamics when it comes to playing rhythm guitar. So hopefully that's helpful.